going live on YouTube and Instagram. Here we go. Okay, so I did try going live earlier. I do acknowledge I did try going live earlier and just had like things after things after things. And so this is something I was actually going to talk about at the end of the video, but I'm going to talk about it at the beginning. Just with the collective and everything that we're going through with coming up, and then we also have this Mercury in retrograde that just started. And so just acknowledging the things that you are avoiding and acknowledging the things that come up and acknowledging, just a lot of acknowledging, just being where you are and understanding that where you are is perfect, and where you are and what you are understanding and what you are going through is in alignment and it is in the right timing. And so like for me, freaking out like things were coming up during the live and then freaking out after the live, being like, oh my gosh, I didn't say the things, I still need to do more, and then just like all these things, and then just taking the second, releasing that. I did a little baby cellular release on myself, which was just so, I literally felt like my heart open up, and I was just like, wow, this is so necessary. So let me know if y'all, what y'all are going through. I'm super interested, just like, how is this time for you? Because there's a lot going on right now. And so just on the collective level, just all of us are experiencing so much. And so one thing that I did channel I opened up, when I was prepping for this video, I opened up for the Black Week Federation to come in and just give any messages. And they gave a few messages. And so, which is so interesting you say that, because normally I go live an hour ago. I went live an hour ago, and now I'm only finally coming back now to be able to do this. So I was like, divine timing on timing. Yeah, I agree. But just some messages that came in from the Galactic Federation of Light is to give to yourself. Give to yourself. And so just what that means, and they have some other ones, but give to yourself in ways that you don't normally give to yourself. So if you normally, like, your self-care routine is like doing, say, a face mask and taking a bath or taking yourself out to dinner, or however you do self-care, do something else. Do something else. Shake it up a bit. And so just give to yourself in a new way, because it makes that newness, it makes you revitalized in your own self. And so give to yourself in a new way today, this week, however that resonates for you. And then the next little thing they said was waves of emotion. I'm just going to read it from my notes. Waves of emotion are concurrent with common feuds. And I actually had to make sure I looked up the definition of concurrent, because I was like, that is definitely a word coming through, and I want to make sure I get the right definition for that. But waves of emotion are concurrent with common feuds, and they wanted to make sure I said those words exactly for the light code activations that are coming in there. And we'll talk about that just a little bit. Yeah, the waves of emotion are real. Like the amount of I don't normally get high anxiety or panic attacks or anything, but this last week especially, I got 2 of them. And then I just calmed down from one just today. And so I'm just like, these waves of emotions are major. And it just says concurrent with common feuds. And so it's happening just like in a normal, I guess you could say argument or disagreement. We're having these waves of emotion, like, oh my gosh, where are these coming from? Like, we were just talking about something so simple. Like, what is happening here? And so, yeah, so just paying attention to these waves of emotions that are coming in, because it's coming in for everyone. It's not just me, it's not just you, it's not just one person, it's everyone as the collective. And then they wanted to make sure we say, you will be okay. And so many of us, I'm not okay. Oh my gosh, everything is happening, I'm not okay. But understanding you are okay. In this moment, you are okay. Understand support. And so understanding how you are supported. A lot of us light workers or empaths, a major thing is that we don't feel supported. And so understanding where your support comes from. Is it your family? Is it not your family? Is it your friend? Is it your best friend? Is it not your best friend? Is it your guides? Is it galactics? Who is your support system? How are you supporting yourself? Again, going back to giving to yourself, supporting yourself. So just understand support. And so just take a second and be like, okay, so who is my support system? If I needed someone, who are the top 3 people that I can go to. And so the first two can be like, okay, so I have a family member or a best friend. And then case second person, who is like the second person? If the first person doesn't answer the phone, basically, who's the second person that I can call? And then the third one, if the first two don't answer the phone, who is that divine connection with you that you feel comfortable connecting to? And if you don't have that person, please reach out to me. I would love to help you find who that person is for you, or what that person is, that being is for you. Whether it's a guide, an angel, a galactic, an ancestor, whoever it is, just having that support system and knowing like I am always supported. And then the last little message was ask when needed. And so whenever you need anything, ask for it. If you're say short for groceries, be like, I need some assistance. Or if you, like for me, I'm trying to wake up earlier, and so asking for that assistance, like, hey, I really need help in the morning waking up. I need help getting out of bed, type of thing. And so just asking for that assistance, calling it in, and it will be there. So that's just a little update of the collective. And then a little intention for this video, just in general, is that I pulled a few cards, of course. And so bust out of your cocoon was the first one. And so just the intention and the purpose for this video is to remind you of the cocoon and of this system that we've been placed in, and allowing you to upgrade and activate out of it, to look at it and be like, oh, so this is how the system works, and this is how it's going to work for me. And so that's what this video is going to be about. And the bottom of the deck was reviving the dormant. So something that we like to avoid, avoidance, which is a major thing coming up right now with Mercury retrograde, is just the things that are already within us that we have been actively suppressing, basically. And now they're bubbling up and they're coming up, and we're like, okay, so what's going on here, and how can I move through it and move beyond and experience with it, not move past it, but integrate it so much that it isn't weighing me down anymore. And so that's just a little bit of the intention for today's video. And then just going on into DNA activations. So just the topics of today, we have DNA activations. More so like, what are they? How do you feel them? Who gives them to you? Where do you get them? Some side effects of DNA activations is basically what we'll be talking about. And then also light being a crutch. So many people are like, oh my gosh, live in the light. Yes, the light. Oh my gosh, yes. But so often, especially now, people are bypassing the darkness. People are tipping the scale so much into the light that they are completely disregarding the darkness that is right aligned, that opposite polarity of the light being it that is the balance of the light. We cannot live in the scale of the light and tip the scale, because then we're raising the darkness. We're just avoiding it, and it can do whatever it wants within us, because we have both light and dark within us. And so how can we live in the light? I'm going to rephrase that. How can we live with the light, but also live with the darkness? And so when we're living with the light, we have this line, this direct path where we're living in this light, and then we're living in this darkness, and we're integrating into us to be this more full being. And so on the DNA activation side, these are just lessons that we learn. DNA activations are simply just lessons that we learn to activate our systems to be able to live with the light and with the dark. And it's just a remembrance. It's just reminding our systems, like, oh my gosh, like for instance, like for star seeds. And if you haven't heard the term star seeds, I do have a video on my YouTube about them. But for star seeds, being in this place of like Earth, anywhere on Earth just doesn't feel like home. I just don't feel at home here. And so growing up, many starseed light workers didn't want to be here, don't want to be here. They're just like, I need to get off this freaking planet. I'm done, basically, is how that is. But then when they learn that that there are galactic beings or aliens, that there are angels and spirit guides that are here to support you, then there comes in this activation that's like, oh my gosh, I'm here for a purpose. I have a human body for a mission. I need to be here for something. And that something for a lot of us just came in 2020. A lot of it just came in 2020. And so I do have notes. That's why I'm looking over here so much. I have like 5 pages of notes. And so these activations are simply just reminders of our systems. And so when we think of the DNA, we think of that double helix that science has taught us is our human DNA. But when we think beyond our human self, and think more in the galactic, multi-dimensional beings that we are, because we are just these beings put in a physical form. Like this isn't me. Like, it's not me. Like, yes, it's Landon. This is Landon. But I am just experiencing this body. Which I'm still, like myself, I'm still wrapping my head around that every day. So when we think of the DNA and we think of this double helix, but then we think of this multi-dimensional being that we are, this double helix just doesn't quite make sense. It just doesn't quite make sense with how this multi-dimensional being is. And then we put in these DNA activations, activating our multi-dimensional self, reminding ourselves that we are this expansive being. We're not just this human being that goes to work 9 to 5, and then we go home and we eat, watch Netflix, and sleep. That's just, we are awakening beyond that. And these DNA activations that happen just as lessons, daily lessons, could be somebody opens the door for you to the grocery store and you think, oh my gosh, people can be selfless. Activation. You go in the sun and you have the thought, oh my gosh, the sun is so beautiful. Activation. It doesn't have to be this grand thing like, oh my gosh, aliens exist, or oh my gosh, I'm not alone, or oh my gosh, all of this other stuff. That doesn't have to be what it is. DNA activations can be simple things, daily things. And they're just reminding us of the beauty of this life, of the beauty of this existence, of the beauty and the purpose of us being in this physical body, which is what was the word? It was just there. What we're here to do. Our physical body, which is a major focal point from this last week for a lot of the collective, was a shift in diet, a shift in regimen, so working out or just your daily routine, just a shift in it, just taking care of your body differently, which resonate with that message from the Galactic Federation. I'm just realizing taking care of your body in a different way. Are you eating raw foods? How are you taking care of your body? Dancing, working out, yoga, whatever it is, how are you taking care of the physical self? That was a major activation in the collective mind this last week, especially the last year, but this last week. And so what else? Yes, and so when we are activating these higher states within our DNA, these higher DNA consciousnesses, it's so funny to say, we are automatically healing aspects of ourselves. Automatically healing, because we're upgrading, like, oh my gosh, the sun is so beautiful. Automatically healing that part of you that used to be afraid of the sun, because, like, for me, I get sunburnt a lot as a kid. And so, oh my gosh, the sun is beautiful, healing that aspect. Oh my goodness, there's other beings, that getting rid of that fear of being alone. Automatically healing these things within us. But that said, it's not automatically healing everything. It's just aspects. And so we still have to do the work. I said, as we heal, we are shown another activation. And so, yes, we're healing certain parts, and these activations are healing certain parts that unlock other parts to then be healed. And so these activations are just keys. They're just keys which we turn. You can listen to this information and you can do nothing with it. But you turn the key, you get the activation, it opens the doorway into another center within your systems that need healing, that are asking for healing. And once you heal that, you then call in another activation. And it's just this entire almost labyrinth, you could say, where you're just going. And the purpose of it is to understand yourself, discover yourself. That is what the DNA activations are for, is to remind yourself of yourself. Wow, right? So wild. Okay, so everything happens in perfect alignment. That's the next little bit. These lessons, we're never given too much. We're never given too much. And so we can feel overwhelmed, all this collective anxiety and fear and traumas that are coming up right now. We can feel that, but we're meant to feel it. We're never feeling too much. It can feel overwhelming and feel too much, but that's teaching us the lesson how to put up protective barriers, how to feel only what we want to feel, how to allow in only what we feel is necessary to allow in. And so when we're talking more along this alignment ascension path, these DNA activations are only here as the keys to push us and awaken us to then hold more frequency within us, to be more powerful, to anchor in even more of that higher consciousness. And so that's just a little bit so far. But these activations come from anywhere. They come from anywhere. They can come from the sun, which was a major one as well this week. They can come from your own body, which was a major one this week. Feeling like, oh my gosh, my back hurts. Why does your back hurt? Going into the why, asking the why. It's going to get you into more of the activation mindset. It can come from the moon. So the sun, the moon, the body. It can come from other people. Just random strangers. It can come from family members. It can come from videos like this. It can come from, what else? Guides, angels, galactics. It can come from downloads. It can come from anywhere. Anywhere. And these activations are just simple things. They're just reminders to us of our multidimensional DNA, of our multidimensional expansive self. Beyond our physical human. Yes, we need to take care of our human. Yes, I need to eat. Yes, I need to make sure that I'm staying mobile. Yes, I need to do these things to be able to live and thrive and within this dimension that we're in right now. But these activations that are coming in and these downloads and upgrades are reminders and lessons for us to step more into those higher consciousness and higher frequencies. So, how they feel. These activations feel different for every single person. Every single person. Generally, I feel activations as I feel lighter. I feel lighter. And so if I'm feeling heavy and dense, I'm like, something needs to shift here, or something is shifting here. If I'm feeling too much or overwhelmed, I'm like, okay, something needs to shift here, and what needs to shift? Why am I feeling this? Why? Again, that why question. But they can come from anywhere, and they can feel however they feel. A lot of times people feel floaty, they feel lighter, sometimes they feel nauseous, which I find if people are feeling nauseous from DNA activations, there's still a little bit of resistance towards the activation. And so going within you and being like, okay, so what do I actually feel, and what do I believe about this information? So, for instance, like when a lot of people discover that galactics are a thing, that they actually exist, a lot of people get nauseous because it's that resistance towards, oh my gosh, humans aren't the only ones. So people get nauseous. Or when people are actually like confirmed their spiritual gifts, like ghosts, or like seeing ghosts or auras or hearing things, it's not them going crazy. They get nauseous because it's this unknown thing that's out there that they don't know what to do about it, and so they get nauseous. So just a little bit of context there. But there's one thing that I wanted to say, make sure I say verbatim, and it is DNA activations are simply lessons for our conscious state, our mind, to more deeply connect with our subconscious. One more time. DNA activations are simply lessons for our conscious to more deeply connect with our subconscious. And so that is what DNA activations are for. It's to connect us, reconnect our 95% subconscious state, running this show, making us breathe, making our heart beat, putting together this reality that we see. That 95%, connecting it with the 5%. It's that connection, it's that reminder that we have a choice in all of this. That's what the DNA activations are for. That's what they are. Okay, and so my conscious. Okay, so moving through this, though, a little thing to continuously activate your DNA, your multidimensional DNA, that DNA beyond your human state. I did get these affirmations, I guess you could say, that if repeated, it feels like they need to be repeated for at least 2 weeks. Definitely you get major upgrades and activations. And so the first one, there's a longer one and there's a shorter one. So I'm going to read the longer one first. My conscious mind and subconscious are woven together, creating my most authentic me. So I'm going to read that again. My conscious mind and subconscious are woven together, creating my most authentic me. And it's almost as if when I was seeing it, I was literally seeing this woven blanket coming together to make this energetic imprint on this physical body, because that's what we are. We are a physical body paired with a consciousness to make this form that we are, to make this experience. And so our conscious mind coming in with our subconscious coming in to be the blanket over this physical form, and within this physical form to make us the authentic being that we are, to make me Landon and you who you are. And then the shorter one, I am whole in my authenticity. I am whole in my authenticity. So those are extremely powerful affirmations for you. But just curious, if anybody has questions or anything, go ahead and leave them in the comments and I will try to get back to them when I can. But moving on into light being a crutch. Okay, I need water. Okay, so light. When we think of light, we're like, okay, light, yes, the sun, or light being positive or good, and then the darkness being bad, void, negative, all of that stuff. We have the light, we have the dark. Right now, there's a lot of people, humans specifically, living in the light. Yay, awesome. I talked about it a little bit at the beginning. Living in the light is different than living with the light. Okay, and so yes, we are light beings. We are made out of love. We are made, oh my goodness, I got the hiccups. We are made to embody love. That is what we are. Our origin is love. And love is a combination of light and dark. Okay, and so when people are living in light, we are bypassing the entire darkness that teaches so many lessons and teaches the balance and keeps the balance between the two. And so we're living on that light. We are teeter-tottering and racing and just giving the darkness like free roam, basically within us. And so if we are just like, everything's good, everything's positive, my life is great, and then something comes in and it's like, no, it's not. You're like, oh shit, what? And you don't know how to deal with it because you haven't studied darkness. You've been avoiding it. And that is what healers do. Well, that's not what healers do, but healers study darkness. That's what healers study. You have, which is so interesting. There's that meme that was going around a while ago about doctors study medicine and who else? Vets study pets, and what else? Electricians study electricity. Healers study darkness, basically. Dancers study dance. Healers study darkness. That is what healers study. They study darkness so that they understand more fully how to approach a healing standpoint, because nobody is the same. There is not a step-by-step process how to heal. It's different for every single person. Yes, there's the general like acknowledge it, release, acknowledge, accept, and release it. there's that whole step by step, but for every single person, it's different. And so with healers studying darkness, but then so much of humanity only living in the light, the healing has kind of not plateaued, but has been avoided. People just aren't healing, which isn't necessarily all true. There's obviously a lot of people still doing their inner work and still doing this progression and expansion process. But I just wanted to make sure I touch on this because light can be a crutch. Light can be a crutch, and that's this whole topic that we're talking about, is that people are relying on the light of, say, source or any, like, universe or God, whatever it is. They're relying on that entity or being, experience, to keep them away from the darkness. Keep them away from the darkness. And so when the darkness comes, they just return to the light, and they're like, nope, we're going to avoid that. We're going to go here, and this is going to be great. But then this darkness, it's still there. And so they're just relying on this light to take it away, but the darkness doesn't listen to the light. The darkness needs its own attention. It's greedy, needy. So making sure we're paying attention to the darkness as much as we're paying attention to the light. That is what shadow work. Then we have light work. And so there's these two different things that we get to do to pay attention to. And it's not one is good and one is bad. I'm like, who was the first person to say that the light was good? Us, as we continue within this ascension process, are being pulled to be more neutral, to be more observatory, to be in observation. That is where we're being pulled to be in, because we live in a polarity dimension. That is, I'm like, you can take that as you will, but that's just where we live. We live in polarity. We live in duality, light, dark, good, bad, up, down, right, left. We live in polarity, duality. There's always two sides to a story. But who was the first one to say light was good and dark was bad? Who was the first to put those together? We are being brought to come back to being our own sovereign beings, to be in our own neutrality, our own observation. Just observing, okay, so this is what's going on, and now I can choose how to respond. And my response isn't good for some people. For some people, it's really awful. For other people, that was the best decision, the best response you could do. And so it's not necessarily responding one way or the other. This is not the polarity. We are not feeding the polarity anymore. We are taking a step back and being like, okay, so I don't have to choose one or the other. I can choose my own way. And people take that how they will, but awesome, cool. I want to make sure, let's see. Yes, and so I saw this image when I was looking into this. I saw this image of a dark room. I want to make sure I say this right. Dark room orb. Yes, and so going back to that, people are holding onto this light. I saw this image of, if just imagine a completely pitch black room. And there's a person there. It could be you, it could be somebody else. But they're holding onto this orb, this light. There's just this like circular, it was like yellow light. And they're just holding onto it, and it's shining just as much to see just around them. And the rest is darkness. That's what's happening right now. Is that so many people are holding onto this orb being like, keep shining for me, keep shining for me. Because without you, it's just darkness. Get rid of the orb though. And what we have within us, again, we are love. We are light beings. Like, we do have the darkness within us, but we can shine our light enough to shine and show our own path. And so by holding onto this orb, giving our power away to the light, we're literally giving it away. We're giving it authority to shine its light and show us what we can see. Whereas if we are the ones shining our own light, We are the ones living our authenticity, our truth, our passions, and understanding our own purpose instead of having an orb tell us where to go, what to do, and who to be. That's where the power comes in. Putting the orb down and being like, you have shown me so much light and you have gotten me so far. So obviously thanking it, being thank you so much for getting me this far. I'm going to take it now. I'm going to take it from now on. And then understanding, feeling into the darkness. Yeah, that's the rough part, is feeling into the darkness and be like, okay, so this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at. But then within us, there starts to be this little glow and this little fire and this little light that starts to shine, and it starts to shine brighter and brighter and brighter until we are radiating the brightness of the sun. We are light. We don't have to rely on light. We are light. But we have to understand the darkness. We have to understand where we are to ground into that moment, to ground into ourself, to then shine our light even more. And so light is the crutch. Put the light down. We are the light. We already are. So making sure I say what I need to say. What are you guys saying? It's holding on the security of the matrix for the last minute until the matrix is no more and all need to face their own darkness then. Yes, 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 yes. And even going more into the matrix side of things, seeing the matrix and being like, this is the system that has been in place. And it's not necessarily changing, but seeing the matrix as it is and being a system, we can program the system. So once we become aware of it, we can then basically run it. But that's just my little 2 cents on that. Yes. So with that all that being said about the light, we're learning to stand on our own as our own sovereign being. We are learning to stand on our own instead of relying on others. We're relying on others. We're relying on those crutches. We're relying on those crutches to keep us moving forward. Not necessarily getting rid of others. Like, they can still be there. The orb can still be there, shining its light and giving you the comfort and the safety. But you're the one producing, and you're the one shining your light so far that you are standing firm in your truth, however that is for you. And as we learn to stand on our own, I wrote really long sentences this week. We're activating and radiating our truth. So as we learn to stand more fully into who we are, especially now, 2020, like, whoa, there's no more halting, no more stopping, no more altering, no more falsifying or anything with our own expansion, because we have taken responsibility for our own light. It's no longer coming from somewhere else, because that somewhere else can be shut down. That somewhere else can be taken away. They can't take you away. They can't take your truth away, because it's your truth. And so it's time to get deep with ourselves. Again, going back to that channeling that I talked about at the beginning with the GFL, is that we need to be taking time for ourselves, giving to ourselves, however that is for you. Maybe giving to yourself, if you have been more of an introvert, is giving to yourself from the external. So hanging out with people. Maybe that's a new way to give to yourself. Yeah? So, but stop avoiding. Whatever it is that you're avoiding, just stop avoiding it. Stop avoiding it. And I'm saying that to myself too. Stop avoiding it. Especially with this Mercury in retrograde. Everything that we've been avoiding, the past things, they're going to come back and they're just going to collide. And we're just going to be like, oh, yay, fun. And then the new moon just calling in everything that's new and just opening up new doorways and pathways, but at the same time releasing all those traumas and emotional misunderstandings. I'll say it that way. Okay. But then the question at the end of all of this is, what used to be light in your life? What used to be light that is now a hindrance? What used to be light that is now a hindrance? Are there things that used to be really in alignment And right now you're holding on to them so much because they used to be so safe and they used to be so secure. But now they're just holding you back. What is that? What is that for you? Is there that for you? Or are you avoiding it? And it's not bad. It's just in the moment. We're all progressing, we're all moving forward, we're all expanding within this process. But what has been the light, again, not good or bad, light being just light, what has been there for you, that is more of a hindrance now. And how can that now transmute and shift into something new? So that's basically what I wanted to say, but I want to make sure I said everything. There was a lot on the DNA activations. I think I said it. Yeah, I think I said it all. So thank you all so much for tuning in. If you have questions, feel free to message me. At the same time, also, before I end, I am facilitating a Channeling 101 workshop this weekend on Saturday at 4:40 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so if you're interested in just learning a few basics and techniques on how to channel either your guides, ancestors, or galactic beings, or angels, that's they're in there too, feel free to message me for the Zoom link and I would more than happy to send it to you. It is free, open to donations, as well as all my content open to donations. The links are in my bio for donations, but let me know about that. And then there are a few spots open for the Intuition Masterclass, which is a 21-day dive into you, your spiritual abilities, capabilities. There's one-on-one sessions with me. There's group calls. There's daily prompts and experiences. And so let me know if you would be interested in that. Again, 21 days. It's like so much within 21 days. But feel free to message me if you're interested in that, and I will send you some information. But other than that, thank you so much, and I will see y'all next time. Bye. Okay, YouTube. I love y'all. See you next time.